Coach. We made it. I don't know that we actually made it. We didn't make it yet. We still have like 3 hours to go.
It seems like a long time, right? We've been talking Browns and offense and defense and personnel, so it's about time to get rolling.
Well, you have not done as many off seasons as I've done, but you've done off seasons in the football world, obviously, and so you know what it's like, especially coming after. I'm sure you had some losing seasons. I know you're very successful in your coaching endeavors, but I'm sure you had some losing seasons in there. And then you have to come up with things, you have to figure things out, and I would imagine for a coach, it's actually much more enjoyable than at times it is for a radio host. Whereas a coach, you're just like, all right, this is a puzzle I have to solve. Meanwhile, for the radio host, and this is what you are now, you have to kind of figure out how to, make the content work, and while also evaluating what they're trying to do, what they're attempting to do, what it looks like they're doing. And for the Browns, in many ways, this offseason, it looked like they were trying to head towards a 3-4 win season. And now that we're approaching here, you said on Afternoon Drive on the show I do with Nick Wilson, you said 8 to 9 wins. You feel like maybe they're moving towards a winning season.
Well, up front, in football, it's all about front, right? So if you have a good offensive line, good defensive line, which I think the Browns do, right? I think they've improved that defensive line with Mason Graham and Malik Collins. So I do, as a coach, you go into the offseason after a poor season, which I have a number of times, unfortunately. I hate to admit, but you go in and your job is, you tell your players, you prove people right or prove people wrong. So that helps you in the weight room. That helps you with everything you're doing leading up to the next season. But then you got to go play, right? So whatever the things are, you got to go play, and that's where they're at now. They got to go play.
All right, well, we're happy to have you here. Obviously, we got a bunch to get into. We have Mary Kay Cabot, we have Daryl Ryder, but as we always kick off these shows, we have our kickoff conditions driven by our good friends over there at Classic Chevy of Mentor, Jeremy Hamilton and my entire wonderful team over there. I say my team because I'm so connected to them. I think they're my team. They are, because anytime I need a good deal on a great Chevy, I go to my friends over there at Classic Chevy and Mentor. I don't know if you caught some rain coming in. I caught some rain. I did an adult thing today. I actually got the umbrella out of my car. I put an umbrella in my car about 2 weeks ago. I got rained on heavily, and I'm like, no more. Not doing this anymore. I'm gonna be the umbrella guy. I was always, I'll just get rained on and don't worry about it. I'm umbrella guy now. Today was the first day I got to test it out. I'm dry as dry gets, and I feel good about it. But I did have some rain coming in here, Coach.
Well, I'm with you. I did not do the umbrella, but immediately thought about it as I got out of the car. I'm glad I got here early so I could dry off a little bit. But the umbrella will go, the golf umbrella, the big golf umbrella will go in when I get home.
Well, what's funny about that is, so I have a golf umbrella, but I keep that just for my bag. I haven't used it all season.
No, I
bought one for this upcoming season, and then I have not used it once.
Well, actually, here's the bad thing is I actually had it in my car now that I think about it. So, that golf umbrella.
You just had it right there.
I should have used it, but
it's okay.
I unadulted, if you would.
Fortunately for us, the weather looks really good for the Browns this afternoon. It does not look cloudy. It's not supposed to be rainy. It's not supposed to be any of the things that we've experienced this morning. And so hopefully that is what continues on all throughout the day. That's our kickoff conditions, again, driven by our good friends over there at Classic Chevy of Mentor. Where I want to start today's show, and obviously we'll get your phone calls, 216-474-0092. You can find us on Twitter. Our Twitter reactions brought to you by our friends over there at Scheib & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. I want to start with the news today with Adam Schefter. So yesterday we found out that the Browns inked a deal with Quinn Sean Judkins, and that was obviously great news. Update on that today. Adam Schefter saying Judkins is scheduled to meet with the NFL this week about its investigation, but there's a real possibility and even likelihood, according to one source, that he'll make his NFL debut next Sunday at Baltimore. And Coach, we spent a lot of time wondering and debating if Quinshon signed during the week, could he play week 1? I think everybody fell on the idea, no, you can't. Even though being game ready as a running back is not the same as being game ready for other positions, probably too hard of an ask. Are you surprised potentially week 2 for Quinn Sean Judkins?
Well, I think if they keep it simple for him, right? So he's a running back who is a guy who's downhill, right? He is a bull in a china shop. So as where Sampson's more patient, Judkins likes to get downhill. So I think you can put him in there. I think the reason he couldn't have not played this week is pass protection. That's where those backs have to learn, right? So you have to protect the quarterback, and that back has to be really good in pass protection, and he has to know where he's going. So for me, that would be the running part of it will come natural. He'll have fresh legs. Yeah. It's that pass protection issue.
So pass protection is the big deal when trying to figure out whether or not a running back can get up to speed.
Well, especially on third down, right? You have to be able to be a 3-down back. You've got to be able to catch the ball in the backfield. You got to be able to line up, but you got to be able to pass protect because on third down, teams are usually bringing 5 or 6.
That's good insight on out of the rip because I think most people listening, that you think to themselves, they're like, well, geez, he's an NFL athlete. He just played a million college games. Now he's into the NFL. He actually had a different offseason than most NFL players because he went to the draft. He did the combine. He did everything you need to do to get ready for that, which is almost like an extended season for some of those guys. He should be in as big of a game shape as he ever was in his entire life. But then you got to think to yourself, there's other things that happen here.
Well, yeah, he's run power. All the plays he runs under Stefanski's offense, he's run Ohio State, right? They run power, counter, zone. They run all the same schemes. So he understands the running part of it. And like I said, he'll have fresh legs. He doesn't even have camp legs. Now, the thing is for him, he'll have to get himself into playing shape because he will get tired a little quicker. But big thing is pass protection, right? No understanding formations, personnel groups, what he's supposed to do besides running the football. That part of it will come easy for him.
And so the NFL is going to interview Judkins this week regarding his domestic battery charge, which ended up being dropped. Mary Kay Cabot reporting out there, your colleague at Cleveland.com. He's not expected to be placed on the commissioner's exempt list, which matters a great deal in this whole entire scenario. So things are kind of coming together for Quinn Sean and the Browns potentially.
Well, and he is he's one of the keys to this offense, right? They got to get the second six. The ultimate goal, they got to win first down, and Quinshon Judkins give them a chance to win on first down because he's a big, thick kid. Even if he doesn't get those big, long runs, they got to stay ahead of the sticks, and his running style allows them to do that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Again, Judkins, obviously he went through his whole ordeal. And it's weird, too, because it's not just Judkins that the Browns are trying to figure out, too. You're trying to figure out Isaiah Bond and what he's going to be able to do. But he'll be on the field later on today as he goes through his whole deal. But it's relatively good news for the Browns. When you think about Judkins in the big picture for this season, and again, we don't know, even if he's not expected to be placed on the commissioner's exempt list based on the fact that he has no criminal charges or cases pending, if he starts week 2, I guess we're just back in the mix for him having potentially a big season here, Coach.
Well, I think he's going to have his running style fits perfectly for what Kevin wants to do, right? He wants to run wide zone. He wants to run the gap. He's a big kid who can get downhill. That's important. And once again, getting him back right now is huge because he has fresh legs. The Browns don't have now. They got Sanders. They got a couple guys, but they need a heavy guy in that backfield because that's what's going to allow them to win first down.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify, just because he's not being placed on that list doesn't mean he is avoiding or removed from any sort of personal conduct policy penalties as well. He could, in theory, still get up to 6 games. He could, in theory, still have a lot of his season derailed, but we'll find out what exactly they end up doing as we move forward. But it is good news because I really don't know what to make of this running back duo. I like Jerome Ford. I like Jerome Ford more than most people like Jerome Ford. Averages over 5 yards a carry last year. And people go, oh, it's just a bunch of big chunk yardages. It's like, okay, I get it. Yes, part of his deal is he has a 45-yard run. Why are we penalizing him for that? Like, you average over 5 yards a carry. You know who else averaged 5.2 yards per carry like Jerome Ford did? Nick Chubb, okay? A guy named Jim Brown also had the same yards per carry. But for some reason, Jerome Ford is looked at like he's some sort of slappy. It makes no sense to me.
Well, the thing he has had an issue with is those all or nothing plays, right? So his first couple of years, he was a home run or second 10.
Yeah.
I think he's done a great job watching him the last 3 or 4 years down at camp every day. He's done a great job of improving his body, getting bigger and stronger, and not having so many negative yards plays. Now, the good thing is I will tell Browns fans is this identity, this run game is more about the offensive line to me. Now, I don't think you can just plug anybody in there, but I think these guys are comparable to do their job because that offensive line is getting back to what they do best. And that's what the running game really comes down to. They got to be able to knock people off the ball, vertically displace them backwards, and this run game will be fine.
Wow, we got to make sure the offensive line can be healthy, too, is the other part of this. I mean, think about it, Coach. Like, I'm kind of worried. You got 4 guys that are 30 years and older. I'm curious to find out about DeJuan Jones today. DeJuan Jones is a ridiculously hard matchup today. Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. We'll dive into this a little bit later on. In the previous 4 games against the Bengals, against the Browns for Hendrickson, he's got 21 total pressures and he's got 5 sacks. Everyone talks about Myles Garrett in this matchup and how he's dominated that Bengals offensive line, and it's true. He has. In many ways, he has been an absolute force, but Hendrickson has been the Myles Garrett equivalent over the previous 4 games in this series. Something's turned on when he's taken on the Browns. I mean, again, 21 pressures in 4 games, Coach. You are getting at the quarterback at an extremely high rate.
Yeah. Coach Stefanski's going to have to do a really good job of attacking him in the run game, run at him. They're going to have to chip him. I've always loved what Stefanski does with those elite pass rushers. They have not done that a lot against Trey Hendrickson, though. They do not help as much as they helped on others.
Why is that? Why is that?
I'm not sure.
Are they just not as scared of him? Like, what's going on there?
Obviously, they have confidence in whoever that left tackle is, but I guarantee you today, because of his success.
Because Hendrickson 2 years ago was, yes, he was already at the double-digit sack number, but he wasn't the same. Remember, he came over from the Saints and I think they paid him like $12-13 million a year, somewhere in that range. It wasn't like he was some Micah Parsons type. He wasn't Max Crosby. He wasn't Myles Garrett. He wasn't T.J. Watt. He wasn't in that group when the Bengals first got him. And maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of an adjustment period around the league and trying to figure out just how great Hendrickson is. But now there's no questions about it.
Well, and they've left him alone, right? So a lot of times these guys who
and he only lines up against the left tackle too,
which allows him to work on his craft, right? So I think in where he was before, he did a lot of different things. He dropped, he played both ends, he had some different responsibilities. Now he's just a rush end.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, because you got to look at it like T.J. Watt, for instance, only lines up over the right tackle. You watch Myles, and we'll see Myles all throughout today. He might line up over the center. He might go after Fairchild, for instance, the rookie guard that they have. Like, he'll go anywhere. While Hendrickson is just who's the left tackle of the week? Okay, that's where I'm at.
And when you're working on your craft, that's all you have to work on, right? So you're working on the left hand of the left tackle and things like that. Dissecting that left tackle, it's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about coverage. You don't have to worry about, he's not a good against the run, right? So if you want to tire a guy out who has missed camp, run right at him, tire him out. I think they'll have a plan. They'll have tight ends, backs. That's a reason those backs got to be good. They got to chip on him. They got to help on him because the rest of that D-line has not played very well in the preseason.
Oh, all right, Coach. Hit me with that game plan.
Well, first thing, the obvious is that they got to create some turnovers on defense, and they got to end every drive with a kick. They got to protect the ball, which has been Joe Flacco's namesake. Now, everybody says we got to let Joe cook, right?
Yeah, we'll get more with Joe in a second. But
but he's got to protect the football. What they got to do is they got to win first down, because on both sides of the ball, if they win first down, they have a chance. And here's why: if you win first down on defense, you take away the short passing game.
I saw you tweeting about this earlier. Tell me what you mean by winning first down. Do you just mean getting 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards? What do you mean by winning first down?
So if I'm defense, I'm trying to keep it to second and 8+, right? Because if I can keep the second 8+, that puts them in a passing situation. That'll put Burrow in an automatic pass situation. Then they got to create pressure through that A and B gap, which I think with the rookie guard, Risner, whoever they put at the other guard is a guy they just brought in. So they have some issues at the guard. Brown's got to create pressure, get him off his spot. Through the A and B gaps. Now, if they can win on offense, right, it takes less pressure off of Joe Flacco having to throw the ball. And if you stay in 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5, you stay away from those exotic looks, right? You're not getting exotic coverages. You're not getting exotic blitzes. That's how you protect turnovers, right? Turnovers happen on 3rd down because you're seeing things defensively because they know you got to pass. So it's not only about sacks, but if you can win on first down, you can help the quarterback protect the ball because the defense has to be more base.
All right, so take me into the rest of the game plan here. It's Flacco protecting the football, which, by the way, the Browns were dead last in the NFL when it came to turnovers last year. I guess you could say they did a lot of losing on first down.
Yeah, and that's what happens. So you lose on first down. That's what Ford issue, right? You got to get to 2nd 6. If you don't, you're in trouble because now the defense dictates what you do. The other thing they got to do is they have to figure out. I think Chase and Ward are going to have a battle. They'll both make their plays.
Yeah.
What are they doing with T. Higgins? All right, now if it's Greg Newsome, they might have to help over top a little bit.
I'm going to think it's going to be Greg Newsome.
You would think, right? And if it's him, I think he's okay. The problem is that he's been pretty solid with guys in the slot. You're getting T. Higgins, who's a catch point guy, right? He's a long guy.
Okay.
That'll be interesting because he's not an overly long corner, right? He's very aggressive. I think the thing for him with T. Higgins is take away space. So I wouldn't be shocked if they press Newsome on Higgins to try to stop the car before it gets going, right? Because once Higgins gets going with that long body and those long arms, he's tough to stop. So obviously, how do they help on him? Then you're going to have the rookies, and I think you're going to have rookies make a big impact today, right? On defense, especially Mason Graham and Schweshninger have to play really, really well, and I think they will. Those guys have to play well to take the pressure off the secondary. Because besides Ward, it's all kind of they're not sure who they have. So for me, it's win on first down, protect the football, find your matchups, win those matchups. Obviously, take 3 points when you get it. And the big thing is this is not always fun. But if you get 3rd and long, if you get 3rd and 8+, like I was saying earlier, don't hesitate to run the ball if you're the Browns. Punt the ball on 4th down, right? And people say, well, go for it. Well, that's when turnovers happen. Protect this defense, right? It's going to be hard to go.
With Flacco, you can basically have some of those arm punts too, though. You know what I mean? Like 3rd and 8 and running the ball is just I don't love that idea, Coach.
Well, and that's very true. But what you're doing, if you're saying that your defense is the foundation of your team, then protect it, right? So obviously, my point is,
what would you think that? I mean, I don't think you're wrong, and obviously, I don't think you're wrong. You're Coach Riz. Come on, you're always right. But that's interesting. I hadn't thought about the Browns and the idea that they're going to be looking at this. We've talked all off season about could they replicate what the Steelers do essentially, which is heavy. We're going to dominate defensively and have a strong run game. Part of that is if you watch them today on 3rd and 8, let's say, just running the ball with your own foot. I still hate it. Even if you're protecting the defense, and I get it, you're trying to play some field position game more than anything. I hate that idea, Coach.
Well, you can use Flacco's experience, right? You can come up with multi-play calls, right? Come up, and if they give you a defense that's not exotic, maybe you throw it.
Yeah.
But that's when that's when bad things happen, right? 3rd and 8 plus is when
but you can't be living in your fears so much either. You know what I mean? Like I do feel like if you're going 3rd and 8, when I'm watching, just as a fan, I'm sitting there and I'm watching on the couch, and I see a team on 3rd and 8 running the ball with your own forward. I'm like, oh, you just gave up on the downs.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I think for me, if I'm a coach and I'm Kevin Stefanski, I'm looking at this defense, and I think it's elite. And I have said that.
You think elite?
Elite.
Okay.
And because of this front seven. So I'm saying, can that team...
So are we trying to get what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to get like a 10-7 game, like a 14-10 game? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think that's where they prevail in this 20 and under kind of range, because that means they're playing great defense. They're protecting the defense. Because I'm telling you right now, it's hard to go at any level. It's hard to go 12, 15 plays without making a mistake, without getting a turnover, without having a sack. It's just really hard to do as an offensive group. I just think you got to protect that defense, and I know that's boring. I know that doesn't make fans happy. But
yeah, no, it doesn't.
But if you're winning games, you take it.
You're winning games, I think the problem in that scenario, and I love the concept of it all, but even the very, very best defenses in the NFL, when they go up against Joe Burrow, and the next week you have Lamar Jackson, the week after that you have Jordan Love, and you just have this murderer's row of quarterbacks to go up against. You know this. Joe Burrow's going to eat. Joe Burrow's going to get his. Lamar Jackson's going to get his. You can have the 85 Bears out there. Lamar Jackson's going to get his. And if you're just playing so scared offensively, I just feel like that's going to end up horribly for the Browns.
Well, I don't think you have to play scared. I think you have to play smart. I think that's a fine line, right? Everybody thinks, well, why would you ever run the ball? Well, maybe you get a great run look on 3rd down too. That happens as well. But my thing is that you have to make sure that you're not creating short fields. And turnovers, not only turnovers kill you for points, but that short field is which really kills a defense, right? If a team has to go 80, 90 yards, it's hard. Now, I'm not saying it every time, but if you're not playing very well, if you're having struggles on offense, if you've been 3 and out a couple times, don't magnify that.
No question. But we also have an ace up our sleeve in Bajorquez. Doesn't matter where we're at in the field, he'll flip it.
Well, and he becomes a huge part, right? He's got to when he's on the field, he's got to flip the field and get that ball inside the 10 and make that other team go 90.
And that is the game plan, brought to you by Romeo'sPizza.com, the official 92.3 The Fan tailgate show choice for pizza, wings, and more. Romeo'sPizza.com is where you need to go. Want to hear from you guys? 216-474-0092. What do you expect out of Joe Flacco today? That's where I want to go with you, Coach, because I have a problem with the idea. And this is, listen, I know I'm being the worst person in the room right now. I don't like being this person. I heard Jake and Nick before we got here, and they're like, well, I can't possibly take the Browns to do anything but win in week 1. I'm not saying the Browns are going to lose. I'm not going to rain on your parade, but I have to work in the honesty business. And the honesty business has me a little worried when the quarterback matchup is 41-year-old or going to be 41-year-old Joe Flacco versus Joe Burrow. Like the idea that Joe Flacco in his prime, okay, when we were wondering whether he was elite or not, when he was winning a Super Bowl, I think that Joe Flacco still loses to this version of Joe Burrow. This version of Joe Burrow is so good that we talked about living in our fears. Yeah, I'm living in my fears just a little bit today, but I think it's a healthy fear to have when you look at one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL just across.
Well, if you look at points, obviously Bengals are going to get their points, and he'll get his, and he'll cook a little bit during the game. But I don't look at it as those two against each other. It's Burrow versus the Browns defense, Flacco versus that Bengals defense.
All right, let's set it up then, because Flacco versus the Bengals defense should, in theory, be the best opportunity Flacco has to showcase why at 40 years old the Browns thought he should be starting week 1.
Absolutely, and I agree. And watching Flacco going back, he was the best during camp. So for me, watching him every single day, he was the best at camp. But yes, this is huge because this defense isn't very good, and this is the defense they should run the ball very well against. I know everybody's saying run the ball. We need to throw the ball, let them, and that's part of it, right? If you can run the ball, get those safeties down the box, get everybody playing run, it helps with pass protection. It helps with single coverage. You're getting those safeties in the box to stop the run. For this offense to be successful, they got to run the ball because then they can get some play action shots. That's why I think Joe Flacco could be successful today. Now, when he has to carry it on 3rd down, that could be a problem. But if they can play complementary football, run the ball, play action, take some shots, again, don't be smart on 3rd down. Don't be afraid, but be smart depending where you're at on the field. Are you inside your?
There we go. I like that. Be smart on 3rd down.
Be smart on 3rd down, right? Don't be fearful. And then once again, everything comes back to making sure this defense is not put in a bad position.
So what do you think Flacco's going to do today?
Well, I think he's gonna have a number of big plays today, and I think the reason why is because I think they're gonna run the ball.
Okay.
I think Judy's gonna have a couple play action shots. I also think the Bengals are really gonna struggle covering both Fannin and Njoku in 12 personnel because I think Al Golden's a guy who plays it close to the best. So when Browns come out in 12 personnel, I think Golden's gonna go with 3 backers. That's a tough matchup for Cincinnati against those athletic.
And Al
tight ends.
Golden is one of the keys here. Al Golden, obviously the new defensive coordinator. Sweet Lou, as I used to call him, he's out the door. But they have some differences. Like I think the people that have talked about this game have not talked enough about the idea that this is a different Bengals defense. It might not be that much better than what last year's was, and last year's was a train wreck. It was a car on fire driving down the highway. It was awful, right? But if you think about it, they added a Super Bowl winning linebacker that in Oren that was the 4th graded out linebacker in the entire NFL last year. I know they got him really, really cheap, and we don't look at it that way. But like PFF absolutely raved about this linebacker core. And then you look at Shamar Stewart, you had him. You had it in their first 2 picks in the draft. They went defensive side of the ball. They're not going to fix it overnight, but they are making the moves that if you were to suggest how do we get better defensively, they at least attempted it this year, Coach.
Yeah, I think Slate was a pretty good pickup inside to a defensive tackle. Now, the thing that hurt the Golden's going to give the Browns is he's going to play it close to the best. They're going to be in a 4-3 or they're going to be in a 4-2-5, which means they're going to take out a linebacker and put in another defensive back. But they're not a defense he's not an exotic guy. If you watch him last year, at Notre Dame, he's not a guy who's going to show you a lot of different looks, a lot of exotic looks until you get the 3rd and 2nd long, which if the Browns can stay out of, they're going to know what they see in front of them. And as an offense, that's important. So you're not getting linebackers walked up. You're not getting all that exotic looks. That makes it so tough as an offensive coordinator. If you can win on first down, they have to be in base. You're going to see 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and a 2 shell almost every play.